For generations, basketball has been defined by grit, rivalry, and heart. It was never just about the points on the board, but the will to dominate, physically and mentally. The old NBA was raw, unforgiving, and full of characters who earned their place through pain and persistence. Many of the game's greatest legends look at the modern NBA and see something they barely recognize: a softer league, shaped by rules, social media, and money, not by blood, sweat, and pride. And now, they're speaking out. Shaquille O'Neal Shaq's presence was impossible to ignore. At 7'1" and 325 pounds, he wasn't just a player. He was a force of nature. Every dunk, every post move, every screen carried weight, literal and symbolic. He set a standard that demanded respect, and few could withstand it. When Shaq talks about today's NBA, he laments the absence of that dominance. The rules have changed, the style has changed, and with it, the attitude. He sees a league where the path to success is paved more with statistics and marketing than with sweat and confrontation. It's not that they can't play, he often clarifies, it's that they don't have to fight for every inch. Shaq's critique also touches on player identity. In his era, big men defined the game, ruled the paint, and established their legacy through confrontation. Now, they're often stretched to the perimeter, forced into roles that emphasize mobility and shooting over physical authority. For Shaq, basketball is more than winning games. It's a test of will. And when he sees a game stripped of that grit, he isn't angry. He's nostalgic. He remembers a time when dominance meant respect, and respect was earned through battle, not branding. The NBA, as he knew it, was unforgiving, and that unforgiving nature made every victory unforgettable. Charles Barkley, Barkley's voice carries both humor and gravity. He knows the game has evolved, and he can appreciate the skill and athleticism of today's stars, but he cannot hide his disappointment. For him, basketball was never meant to be comfortable. It was a battle where toughness, resilience, and courage defined success. He recalls pounding the boards, absorbing contact, and using every ounce of his body to gain an edge. Every game demanded effort. Every possession required heart. There was no shortcut, no easy path, no protection for the elite. Players had to earn respect every night, not simply collect accolades or endorsement deals. Watching modern athletes, Barkley sees a league sanitized for spectacle. Stars avoid contact, complain about minor infractions, and rely on rules and referees to shield them from consequences. The intensity that once made the NBA electrifying has been softened, replaced by analytics, load management, and highlight reels. To Barkley, this is more than just a change in style. It's a shift in values. The essence of competition, the grit, and the relentless pursuit of victory have been diluted. His message is clear: basketball was once a proving ground, and it should still demand courage, tenacity, and accountability from every player who steps on the court. Michael Jordan's greatness was forged in a furnace of adversity. Every loss, every slight, every challenge became fuel. He didn't just want to win games, he wanted to dominate opponents, to make them feel the sting of competition. He thrived on intensity, on the kind of relentless pressure that the modern game increasingly avoids. He watched players today with a mixture of respect and disbelief. Skill is abundant, he acknowledges, but the environment has shifted. Fouls are called more liberally, physical contact is limited, and players are shielded from the punishment that once honed their resolve. Jordan often reflects on the contrast. A league once defined by toughness, now increasingly defined by spectacle. For him, mental strength was as vital as physical skill. The ability to stay focused, to endure hardship, and to respond to every challenge was what separated the great from the good. That standard, Jordan believes, is harder to find today. The lessons learned from true adversity. the battles on the court, the personal rivalries, the pressure to perform without protection are less common in the polished modern NBA. Even in his quiet moments, Jordan communicates a clear message. Greatness requires resistance. And while today's athletes may excel in talent and athleticism, the fire that fueled legends like him, the intensity, the hunger, the unforgiving pursuit of supremacy has been diluted, leaving the modern game undeniably softer. Kevin Garnett's intensity wasn't an act. It was his identity. Every time he stepped on the court, he brought an energy that electrified the air around him. His passion was contagious, his presence intimidating. Opponents could feel it before the game even began. He didn't just play basketball, he consumed it, lived it, and demanded that everyone around him do the same. He believed the game was supposed to mean something deeper than highlights or headlines. To Garnett, every rebound was a statement, every defensive stop a message. He thrived on confrontation, not because he enjoyed conflict, but because he believed that real competition brought out truth. When you compete, he once said, you find out who you really are. Today's players, in his eyes, have all the tools but not the same hunger. They've grown up in a system that rewards finesse over ferocity, image over intensity. Garnett doesn't blame them. He blames the culture. The rules, the money, the media have reshaped the environment, turning killers into celebrities. For Garnett, that transformation hurts to watch, because he knows what basketball used to sound like. The screams, the collisions, the raw emotion that made the game feel alive. And he fears that when that sound fades completely, so will the soul of the sport. Allen Iverson's toughness went far beyond the physical. It was emotional, spiritual, and deeply rooted in where he came from. Every time he stepped on the court, he carried the weight of proving he belonged. Not just in the NBA, but in a world that had counted him out from the start. He wasn't supposed to make it, and that chip on his shoulder became his greatest weapon. He was the smallest guy on the floor, yet he played like he was 10 feet tall. Every drive into the lane was an act of rebellion, every crossover a statement of identity. Iverson didn't ask for permission. He demanded respect through effort and fearlessness. That's why his peers admired him, because he played every game as if it might be his last. When Iverson looks at the league today, he sees incredible skill, but less struggle. He understands that times have changed, but he can't help feeling that something vital has gone missing. That hunger born from adversity, that need to fight for every inch. To him, basketball was survival. The floor was his proving ground, the ball his lifeline. That's what made Iverson unforgettable. Not the points he scored, but the pain he endured to earn them. Kobe Bryant for Kobe. Basketball was never just a game. It was a battlefield. Every practice, every possession, every shot was part of a personal war against weakness. He built his entire career on the belief that pressure reveals character. When others rested, he worked. When others celebrated, he improved. That relentless obsession set him apart. He watched the league evolve with mixed emotions. On one hand, he admired the skill level, the precision, and the global reach the sport had achieved. But on the other, he couldn't ignore what was missing. That raw, unfiltered hunger that once defined greatness. "We've lost the edge," he once said. "The game's got too friendly." To Kobe, competition was sacred. He believed that true respect came from battle, not friendship. The rivalries that shaped his generation, those wars with the Celtics, the Spurs, and even his own teammates, forged legends. Without that friction, he feared the fire would die. The Mamba mentality was his answer to that fear. It wasn't just about scoring or success. It was about confronting pain, doubt, and failure head-on. And that's what Kobe wanted every young player to understand. Greatness isn't born from comfort. It's earned in the moments when no one is watching and everything hurts. Gary Payton to Payton. Defense wasn't just a skill, it was pride. He took it as a personal insult when someone scored on him. Every possession was a duel. Every dribble an opportunity to break his opponent's rhythm and confidence. He studied players like a predator studies prey, learning their habits, their weaknesses, their fears. In the 90s, you could feel Payton's presence even when he wasn't touching the ball. His voice echoed across the court, his words cutting deep enough to throw superstars off their game. Trash talk wasn't showmanship, it was strategy. He wanted you distracted, frustrated, and ultimately defeated. Today, that kind of defensive fire is rare. Payton often says that the modern NBA rewards scoring so much that defense has become an afterthought. Players focus on step-backs and deep threes, while defensive effort fades into the background. Nobody wants to guard anymore, he once said. Everybody just wants to get buckets. For Payton, that's not basketball. That's entertainment. Defense, in his eyes, was what gave the game its soul. It was the part that tested a player's heart, not just their talent. Without that battle, he believes, the NBA has lost a piece of its identity. The fear, respect, and edge that once made every game feel like war. Tim Duncan's approach to the game was quiet, yet it spoke volumes. He never needed to pound his chest or talk trash to prove his worth. His presence alone demanded respect. Every move he made was precise, efficient, and purposeful, the result of years spent mastering the smallest details. That was his version of toughness. Not noise, but consistency. He came from a time when players didn't need to draw attention to their greatness. Their game spoke for them. For Duncan, basketball was an art of control, controlling your mind, your emotions, and your role. He believed that true leadership was about setting an example, not seeking validation. Today, as he watches the modern NBA, Duncan often sees flashes of brilliance, but he also notices how quickly it fades. Players chase viral moments instead of building lasting legacies. A single highlight can overshadow months of quiet excellence. And that, to Duncan, is where the game has drifted off course. In the world he knew, the fundamentals were sacred. Now they're secondary. And in that shift, he believes basketball has lost a part of its soul. The steady, disciplined foundation that once turned players into legends and teams into dynasties. Old-school players didn't want to be liked. They wanted to be remembered. They weren't playing for followers or endorsement deals. They were playing for pride, legacy, and the respect of their peers. Every game was personal, every matchup a war of willpower. When players like Jordan, Shaq, and Barkley stepped on the floor, it wasn't about entertainment value, it was about dominance. They didn't care about analytics or social media trends. What mattered was who had the heart to keep going when everything hurt. In today's NBA, players are celebrated for efficiency, for statistics that please data sheets more than audiences. You rarely see the same level of hatred, of passion, of fire. Rivalries have been replaced by friendships. What used to be physical battles are now fast-paced exhibitions, filled with smiles after missed dunks and friendly laughs after fouls. The game is still beautiful, but its edge has dulled. Many of these legends believe that the league's shift wasn't accidental. It was designed. A softer, more accessible NBA sells better. It's a league optimized for visibility, not vulnerability. But that shift has consequences. Fans no longer see the kind of emotional connection that once defined the sport, the moments that made you feel something deep, the rivalries, the blood, the comebacks born from pain. Those are fading memories. Yet, for all their criticism, these legends also carry a quiet hope. They believe the fire can return, that somewhere in the next generation, a player will rise who brings back that old-school grit, who refuses to play nice, who demands greatness through struggle, who turns the game back into battle. Because in the end, true greatness isn't born from comfort zones or metrics. It's born from hunger, and no amount of polish can ever replace that. Charles Barkley once said, "You can't teach toughness. You either got it or you don't." And that's what separates the old from the new. The old NBA was built on survival. The new one is built on image. Maybe neither is completely right or wrong. Maybe it's just evolution. But when the legends speak, they remind us of something crucial. Greatness isn't about comfort. It's about confrontation. The modern game may have more talent, but the old game had more soul. And in the echoes of those battles, the bruises, the rivalries, the legends, we find what basketball truly was. Not entertainment, but endurance. Because in the end, the greatest players weren't made by praise. They were made by pain.